Amy here. Welcome back to my channel, Paper Therapy with Amy. I have a picture here that you can probably tell has been around for a while. I was cleaning up in my craft room. You know, it's the new year. That's not why. I just decided to unpack a box. We've lived in this house for 2 years and I decided to unpack a box. The last box I think that's been hanging out. And it was deep in my craft room closet, and it actually had a stack of these pictures. And I believe I printed this picture after my youngest son was born, if memory serves. It was to, give away to people because of it was such a nice family picture. As you know, it's hard to get toddlers to all look one way, and they're all 2 years apart. So I would say we're looking at 4, 2, and 0. He was born in March and this is summer, so I would say he's 3 or 4 months old there, the baby. So I have 3 of these photos and I've been thinking more and more. My oldest son has a really serious girlfriend, so I've been thinking more and more about trying to complete albums for them. And a good goal is to have an album when they get married. I see this has little spots on it. Let's see if the other side's better. So this is our watercolor paper. I don't think carry it anymore. We used to carry a different brand, but you can get it different places. And I've decided I'm going to do a mixed media page, and I want to do watercolor paper on here. Or I want to do a lot of watercolor paper. Sorry, I sound crazy. I want to do a lot of different techniques on here, or try different things. So I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off 2 sides, which is going to leave me with a 1/4 inch border all the way around at the end. That's kind of my plan, to just have a frame style layout. And then I'm going to get out my all-purpose mat, which is great for messy work, which is what I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to get this picture totally out of the way. It's a sepia picture, I see. That picture tells such a story, and I'll tell you after what the story is behind the picture. Just the different things I can remember about it. When I found it, I was just like, oh man, it almost makes your heart squeeze a little because they were just so little. And it was at the zoo, and they're each wearing a giraffe shirt. Pardon my dog. They're each wearing a giraffe shirt, which is so funny that I dressed them all in giraffe shirts. And my son had a broken leg, and just the story. It's just so cute. So I'm going to start with, I've decided I don't have a lot of distress oxides, but I want to use the ones that I have. So I'm going to use these. I'm going to use this technique. I'm going to use this page protector that I have. And I watched a video that I'll post down below from Lou Collins. She did a mixed media card, and that's kind of what I'm following. I'm wanting to put the bulk of the color in this area here. That's where I'm going to put the photo. So I kind of want it going out from behind the photo, dark and then to light. So with the distress oxides, when you want them to come out lighter, you spray more water on them. So the reason I'm using this page protector is because it's a little bit stiffer plastic, and I don't want, like when I splotch on the plastic with the stamp, like turn it upside down and squish it on there, I don't want that square like the square of the stamp pad. I want to kind of spray it and let it run around on the plastic so that it just kind of gives a organic, non-shaped ink splotch, I guess. So in between every layer, I am drying it. I don't know if it's 100% bone dry, but it's pretty dry. That's kind of how you build distress oxides. You have to kind of dry them in between and build up, because if you add wetness to them, it changes the color of them and often lightens them. So you want to dry in between. So, and then they kind of blend and build. It's kind of cool. So, I also, at the end, I decide for the third color, I don't use the dark blue there, the cracked sapphire, I think it's called. I use, Harbor instead, just our Harbor inks. I don't know if that's what kind of warped my paper. I don't think so. I think the paper just warped because it was getting a lot of water on it. And I guess I might look on Amazon and see if I can find a watercolor paper if I want to do more layouts this way. Because on the video that Lou made, her paper didn't warp at all. So she obviously had a better watercolor paper. I think on her close-ups, it almost looked like it was like a thick, you could see a grain to it or whatever. So yeah, so you need a paper that kind of can stand up to this, and this did warp a little bit, but I think it'll be okay in my album. It looks a little bit like a hot mess right now, but if you stick with me, I think you'll like the results, or at least if you're into mixed media, you'll really like the results. So the next thing I did was I took the blending brush and I just kind of blended out a little bit. I didn't like how blotchy the very bottom layer was looking. I actually kind of needed a lighter color almost to start with. So I blended that out a little bit with my blending brush. I'm not sure I'd do that again if I did this layout over, but I did it. So this is the stencil from Dreammaker, and I'm just adding a little bit of texture to the background. So I had an interesting thing happen. Well, interesting. I had the Ranger texture paste, and it was completely dry as a rock. I have added water and been able to mix it up before, but that did not work this time. It was just too hard. It was still chunky, and so I made my own texture paste, and basically I used white glue and cornstarch, and I just stirred it up till I liked the consistency, and I really like how it turned out on the layout. These hexagons I cut from our hexagon thin cuts. I don't think they're available any longer, so I'm still taking my inspiration from Lou's card. She used hexagons, so I'm gonna kind of print these up a little bit with some printing from the Dreammaker stamp set, and kind of add a little bit of color to them and a little ink around the edges so that they kind of fit on the page. I'm using a technique I've seen quite a few places, that is to put the stamp right on your fingers and print it like that. Then it looks a little more organic on the edges because it just kind of ends, and you can be a little precise about kind of where you want to put it. Then I use the blending brushes to add a little bit of the color to these. They look so stark white to me, and I took the little inking tool. Sadly, we don't carry those anymore. I hope we bring them back in the next catalog, but I just took my little inking tool and I inked around the edges with black so that they would really stand out off the background of the layout. So as I said, I came across this photo in a little album that I think I had taken to when I visited my mother, and gave everybody a picture of an updated picture of our family because we had had a new baby in March. So this was summer, and early in the summer, actually the very first day of summer and the end of June, our 2-year-old son, which is our middle son in this picture, he's now 17, he broke his leg. So it was kind of the pits for me because I couldn't take him to the beach or do anything with him. So we tried really hard to do different things with them, and this was taken at the zoo. We took him to the zoo. We pulled him around in a wagon, him and the baby. I think I pushed a stroller with the baby, and he went in a wagon with his dad. And we were with my husband's uncles and aunts, and it was a lot of fun. And our boys were all wearing their giraffe shirts because they all had a giraffe shirt. And it's just such a sweet picture of our little family. And it was so many years ago. It's just so hard to believe that it might not be too many years before I'm holding a baby like that, and it's a grandchild. Crazy. All right, you can see I've placed my little hexes. Now I'm going to do some more background stamping. I want to add a bunch of splatter, and I want to add a bunch of the text stamp that I have from the Dreammaker stamp set. And I just kind of framed the picture. I ended up framing the whole picture with that text stamp and then adding some to those white corners as well, just to give it some interest. Now, I don't think I mentioned that I used, I believe, fern to mat the photo. I just went in my accordion folder that has all my cardstock scraps, and I found one that matched the green the green oxide that I have there. And that's what I've used. It's kind of, I don't think we have fern anymore, but it was kind of a lime dusty green color. Like not, it has a little brown in it too, but it's also quite bright. You see how I keep on testing putting the photo back to see if I'm going to like it, and I really do like this script. It kind of frames the photo and it's almost like it gives it another layer, another mat underneath it. And I liked doing the second and third generation. There I'm just blotting off under where the picture is going to go. But I liked adding the second and third generation stamping kind of going off the edge of the paper. And it kind of made those white spaces not so white. All the stamping I'm doing is with black ink. I decided to leave this part in. I don't know if you know you can iron paper, but you totally can. I just used a old beach towel underneath it and I tried to iron it flat. It didn't work great. I think if I would have done it before the paste, I could have got it flatter and maybe used an ironing board, but I was too lazy to take that out. So here I'm just deciding where to place those, or deciding again, I guess, where to place those little hexes. And I get a permanent decision made, and then I'm going to add a bit of faux stitching to the hexes. I had to cut a lot of this out because I kept getting my head in the way trying to match up my stitching because I wanted to kind of go across. And this is something that Lou Collins did in her card video as well. She kind of tried to make it look like they were stitched down, but she had already popped them up with pop tape, so that was tricky. So because she said, oh, I should have done this before, I did actually do it before. That's the only reason I thought of doing this before I put the pop tape under them, was because I had watched her video. It's fun to call it pop tape, but I'm meaning the dimensional tape, the foam tape that we use to lift things up a little bit. So I did use the foam tape to adhere them all. And once they are down here, then I am just kind of trying to decide where to put this photo memories title. And I was going to try adding remember these moments into, but it didn't work. I tried cutting it up and yeah, it didn't work. So I did stamp a few of these phrases right on the background. Again, I'm not sure I'd do that again if I had it to do over. But since I'm going to do this layout over 3 times because I have 3 of these photos, I figured I'm just going to leave this and let it be. My boys will not mind. And so it'll just go into the album like this. I do like how it turned out, but it's definitely a first attempt. But I wanted to share it with you anyway because it's fun to try new things. It's a new year and it's good to experiment and have fun in the craft room. I've added the black trim around the edge now as well, and I did glue it completely down. I didn't gut that black paper just to give it some more stability because it was kind of wonky. Okay, well, there you have it. I have not done this kind of mixed media before. I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I'm going to do 2 more layouts actually of these same pictures, so I'll be able to practice and do it different ways. The one thing is I tried to iron my paper, as you probably saw in the video, and it worked a little bit, but mostly the paper is a bit wonky. I think it'll flatten out in the page protector in the album because it'll just be squished. But yeah, our old photo paper didn't stand up great. I'm really happy with my homemade gesso though. That stood up like that, or homemade paste. That worked really good. So I'm gonna try and kind of show you, maybe if I turn this light off. There we go. Oh yeah, that's better. Try and kind of show you. I'm trying to show you all the little details and the texture here of my homemade texture paste, which worked out great. I'll post the recipe down below in the description. Thanks so much for coming back and watching, or if you're new, thanks for stopping by. I hope that you will hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I will see you all next time. Bye.